Hey everybody. So, welcome back. Hope you had a lovely spring break. We're going to be getting started in our next unit talking a little bit about machine learning. Machine learning, artificial intelligence, these are all very exciting areas, and you're going to get a chance to play with some code that actually uses these things and build this code yourself. So the first thing that I'd like to bring your attention to is this repository. Excuse me, this repository is on GitHub, and what I want you to do is go to the master branch and download this to your computer, because this is going to have some files that you can play around with. So you can see this is just saved to my downloads directory. I can go to my downloads, I can open up that zip file, and I get this directory. And this directory right now has a bunch of the files that you're going to need to get started. Now, there are a couple other little things that I just want you to set up before you really get going with this. Let's take a look at this actually first. So this is the video that I'm going to have you watch. This is ml5js image classification with MobileNet. You might recognize Professor Daniel Schiffman here, who does a great job of kind of explaining things, and he's very entertaining. I watch him and learn from him, so hopefully you'll get a lot out of it. He does a great introduction to what ml5js is, a little bit about machine learning, and then he actually gets to building something using code. Now, to help you with this whole process, I've actually built a lot of this code for you and made it so that you have starter code that will work with some of the instructions that he gives you. In order to use this code, though, you do need to use a couple little tricks. So I'm going to go into Finder, and I'm going to open up Terminal. And so Terminal is kind of the back end. It uses the operating system Linux, and it's text-based. It used to be how all computer systems were run. Right now it's kind of hidden, but we need it to do some things for this tutorial. One of the reasons we need to do something is if we go in and we try and open this intro complete.html and try opening it in Chrome, you'll see when it loads, if we go to the inspector, we get an error, and we get, let me see, I'm not sure if you can see this way down here, but there's a little error that has to do with security. And the idea is that web pages, by default, prevent you from opening files that are local on your computer. This is to make it so that if someone in a web page wanted to load some unsafe script, something that could do damage to your computer, this makes it so that that file, if it's not hosted in the same place as the web page itself, it's not allowed to run. And so that's what this message down here is telling you about. What we're going to do is we're actually going to create a web server on your computer so that this web page and other web pages that you're going to put together are all actually served the same way a website like Google or PowerSchool Learning would be from the web. To do that, we're going to go through these steps that I'm going to show you now. So you're going to go to Terminal, and the next thing is you're going to go to this directory where you saved the files from the repository. You're going to type cd in the terminal right here. You're going to hit space, and then we're going to drag this folder there we go. So we're going to drag that. What that's going to do is that's going to change the directory. That's what CD stands for. Change the directory so that you are now in the same directory as those files. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to do CD image classifier. Must have the name. Oh, CD image classification. So that's going to change the directory to a directory inside of that other directory, which is called image classification. I can do ls, which lists files in that directory. And so these are the files that were visible previously in the Finder. And so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to enter this command. And this is going to start a simple little web server inside that directory, and it's going to serve those files to you from that directory. So I'm going to hit enter, And it's now telling you that it's serving HTTP, which is like the HTTP in a web address, on this address, port 8000. I'm going to go to Chrome, and I'm going to enter 0.0.0.0, which matches this. I'm going to hit a colon, 8000, and then I'm going to enter intro complete.html. Okay, and so this now loads the file that you will end up with at the end of the tutorial with Daniel Schiffman. So if you do that, you know that everything's working. The other thing that you'll want to do is open up the index.html, and you can open it up just with any text editor. You'll see that I have TextEdit here. You can do that very easily and follow Daniel's instructions to build the code from here. Or in PowerSchool Learning, I've given you a link to a program called Atom, which you've seen me use before, and it's really nice because it gives you lots of colors that kind of tell you if you're using comments or you are using a function. It gives you those different colors that can help a little bit, but it's definitely not required. And so your task is to go through his tutorial. I've given you the completed file so that you can check. There are a couple things that you'll want to make sure they are a little bit different from what Daniel Schiffman has. If you get an error and it doesn't work, check the answers to see if you've done it correctly. So if you've done all this, if you have this file open on your computer, then the next thing that you can do is you can open up this video, watch it, and when you get to about 9 minutes, 35 seconds, he starts talking about setting up a development environment. You don't really need to follow that because you have already set up your development environment. So when you get there, you can kind of fast forward to, I think, 10:55, because at that point, that's where he starts, dealing with the other details, like actually building this thing. So that's it. And so I want you to go through these steps. I want you to ultimately build, starting from the intro file, I want you to build the intro complete file following his tutorial. And in the end, you should be able to classify this as a puffin. You'll be able to play around with some different files that I've given you in that directory. Inside images, you see I've given you a puffin, I've given you a baseball, and I've given you my picture as well. And so you can play around with loading those pictures here in the classifier to see what this machine learning algorithm thinks I am out of the thousands of things that are in its list. So with that, get to work. Have fun, everybody.